Okie dokie.
Oh, I'm off the camera.
Good morning.
Happy Saturday to you.
Happy Saturday. Welcome to our Saturday Live. We're Sean Allison with Spoken Garden, if you don't know. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you being here. This is a lot of fun. Today we're talking about seed hacks and treatments.
I know, which I'm really excited to dig into this a little bit more because I know that we all are still talking about seed sowing. It's only March.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still very early for seed sowing. So we have a lot of hopefully really helpful tricks and hacks that might help your germination rates, or at least just get you thinking about what might work or not work.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's funny to think about seeds. Sowing seeds can go all the way in, at least in the Pacific Northwest here, maybe in your area too, where you're living, if you're not in the Pacific Northwest. It can go all the way into June. Depending on what you're growing, you know, the different climates you're in, what's your elevation, you know, that year, what kind of weather you're having. Is it an early spring? Is it a late spring or early summer? I mean, there's so many different things that go into it, but no matter what, it's fun to just sow seeds.
It really is. And, you know, it makes me happy to think that we do have a lot of time because Sean and we've been very busy. We haven't really started our seed sowing yet. We still have, we have one winter jug going that we got started, I think, last week, a couple weeks ago. It's been a couple weeks, but
a couple weeks.
We keep having this plan, and so today we're going to get started on it, and then it'll launch us into probably more seed sowing through the weekend.
Oh my gosh, we've planned out in our heads, and we've talked about. There's so many seeds we want to start, like definitely sweet peas, definitely like nasturtiums,
snapdragons. Haven't got those started yet.
Petunias,
it's a little late.
I mean, we want to get into petunias, celosia. I mean, we have some people call it celosia.
Celosia.
So, yeah, I mean, it depends on how you say it. But, you know, potato, it's all good. So
I was digging for seeds when the live started here. So I've got our sweet pea seeds that I want to show you guys. And, so we're just going to get into some, nasturtiums. Did you mention that?
I did, yeah.
At this point, here in, we're not in Tacoma right now, but where our garden is in Tacoma, Washington, the microclimate that our zip code is in is zone 9A, and the, what am I trying to say? The frost-free date is coming up.
Yep, couple weeks.
It's like March 21st.
Well, the calendar's over here. That's why I'm looking over here. So we're on the
What are we, 3 weeks out?
We're about a week and a half.
So it's like we can pretty much sow anything indoors, really, at this point.
Yeah.
And then there's even outdoor stuff we can all sow now, depending on where you live. So that'd be fun to hear.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's...
Yeah, who's here with us? We've been talking a lot here so far. Who's here with us?
I know. Okay, so good morning to Tracy. Hi.
Morning, Tracy.
Tracy from Lacey is here. Valerie's here from Kent.
Good morning,
Hi, Valerie. So glad you guys could join us. BK is here. Barb.
Good morning, BK.
Reminded us that her name's Barb.
Good morning,
Barb. Her handle's BK. Pibgorn is here from Maryland.
Oh, cool. Morning, Pibgorn.
So good morning. What is your weather like in Maryland? Because we heard that you guys are sort of getting some of our weather from the last couple weeks, like rain and hail and
sleet.
Really crazy weather.
Yeah.
So it kind of, traveled east.
Yeah, if you're wondering what the weather is here, it's rainy, it's windy, it's cloudy.
It is today.
You know, it is today anyway.
Yesterday was pretty nice, though.
Well, and I wanted to mention too, Valerie, I saw your question on one of the videos, I think was it a couple rhododendrons you mentioned. We're going to get to your question here probably today or tomorrow, so just hang tight.
We'll
get
okay.
to it.
I'm sorry
we haven't gotten to that. Yeah,
I know.
It's a really good question.
Oh, great. I feel like, we're slightly behind on comments and emails right now, but we're going to get caught up.
Too many. Lots of emails.
Lots of emails. Pibgorn in Maryland said it's rainy, so
okay.
We have rain. We're all in this together. The good thing we're all inside talking about gardening. I mean,
it's a good day to talk about gardening inside.
Like Valerie put some emojis up. It's like coffee plus seeds or plants, equals like super happy.
Awesome.
Happy, lovey.
Awesome. Really cool.
Valerie said no problem on the delay. Awesome. So thank you for your patience.
Yeah, thanks, Valerie.
But we're going to talk, we've got 8 seed sowing like hacks, or some of them are treatments, things to get seeds started. Some of you might know some of these already. Maybe we can share some extra ideas in the chat that work.
Yeah, let's exchange ideas.
There's, there's hacks out there that are like bogus, that don't work, that people use. Right?
Yeah. Well, there's always some
weird ones out there.
But you know what? It's always good to go with what you know, and what you know works. And so, something fun that might be fun for everybody here and us too, is when we're going through each one of these hacks, tell us in the comments if you've ever used it before and what you used it on. like what seeds did you use for this hack or this treatment? And so that'd be fun.
I know that would be fun.
So yeah.
Tracy, you asked a really good question. And I know we've talked about this because we were all kind of like, weird. Her frost date in Lacey is May 6th. It's so much later.
A lot later.
Yeah, it's way later.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the only thing we can think of is...
what's the question?
Just that, I guess it's not really a question, but it just seems odd. Everything I've seen says May 6th. It just seems odd to her that it's so much later than Tacoma.
Yeah, Lacey, if I'm remembering right, I mean, we kind of pass through there about once a week at least, heading to our garden. Lacey's up a little bit in elevation. It's not at sea level. So for us, our garden is definitely at sea level.
I'm going to look that up.
Or just like maybe 10 feet above sea level. So for you, Lacey, Lacey is maybe 300 or so feet above sea level.
203. 203
Lacey
feet.
is? Okay, so about 200 or so. And it could vary depending on where you are in Lacey, because it's hilly, but that will factor into your frost date. The closer you are to the water, the sooner your frost date will be coming. That's something to factor into. So I'm not sure Lacey sorry, Tracy, I'm not sure where in Lacey you are according to the water, but the further away you are from the water, pretty much the longer out your frost date's going to be. So the elevation and relation to water, close or not close, those are really going to factor in. Also your microclimate, for how much sun are you getting in that area, and which area on your house are you going to be doing a lot of your sowing, because even though your frost date might be in May, depending on where you're sowing your seeds and where you're going to be germinating them and growing them, if it's on the southeast or southwest, that will help you with that germination, getting more sunlight and warmth. And so in that fashion, you'll have definitely a microclimate that will hopefully bring you closer to that'll quicken your last frost date. So just some things to think about. And again, with that, southwest, southeast facing, if you can manipulate your microclimates in such a way to help you shorten to your frost date, that'll be great. That'd be really good if you can do that. So,
and you can always get things, and you might have just said some of this, but you can always get those things started, right? And even like bulbs, if you're kind of like, my summer bulbs, I want to get them going. I mean, if you have somewhere indoors that you can kind of protect them, but get them started.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely starting them early be awesome, because then you're going to have those flowers, all that growth in those flowers sooner. Something to think about for forcing bulbs is especially for definitely dahlias, but also elephant ears. You want to start them indoors or in a protected area, especially in our climate. You need a constant temperature, or more as consistent as possible, 50 degrees or higher, even at night, because those bulbs, I mean, if you're going to wake them up, they need a little bit warmer of a temperature than what we currently have right now, especially inland. I mean, where we're at, daytime temperatures are now creeping up to about 50 degrees on average, but inland, they're still about 40, maybe 45, and that's just still a little too cold to really start forcing those bulbs for a nighttime temperature. So something to think about if you're going to do that.
Yeah, that's very true. But, okay, so we're going to sort of just, should we just jump right in?
Let's do this.
Yeah, let's get started. We're excited to get going. Yep. Again, we're excited. Really quick saying hi to Mark. Hi, Mark.
Good morning, Mark.
Hope you're doing well. And we're really glad that you guys are all here. This will be fun. And as always, just, drop your comments or any questions you have in the chat. And we're just going to get into some seed hacks and some ideas. Think of them as, some of them, again, are going to be treatments that you're going to need to do for certain seeds. And we're going to show you some of them. We've got 4 little demos we're going to do. Some of them we've kind of done before.
And I wanted to mention really quick before we really get into this, if you guys can tell us if you saw our new intro slide before we actually got on camera here, Allison added some music to it, and we're trying something new. So if you can let us know if you saw that and what you thought about it. So just in the chat there, or if you're seeing this in the replay, tell us down below in the comments what's going on, honey.
Well, I had that as a little video, but that's okay if it's not.
I think it started playing as we came on, but then it's done.
This is a video.
No, I know.
Oh,
but
gotcha. Okay.
but
No worries.
yeah.
So let's get into it. 8 hacks and treatments and 4 live demos.
Here, hold on.
Let's get to that first slide.
We'll do a replay. There it is.
Oh, there's this. Yeah.
There it is.
Sure,
Okay. Technology's fun.
Just to get in the mood.
Yeah.
We're indoors in our little greenhouse that we have back in Tacoma, and So okay.
Cool.
What is our first hack?
Our first hack is covering your seeds and like your seed trays with plastic. So it's using like a plastic like saran wrap or some type of cellophane to cover your trays, so you create a more greenhouse effect. You're keeping moisture close and inside, making sure it's more readily available and it's just not dissipating or evaporating away to get that seed germination. And so I think we have supplies kind of all over the place. Excuse us here for a minute.
I know. So we're going to get, there's a couple different ways you can actually do this. And maybe let us know in the chat if you've tried this, because one of the easiest hacks is, let's say you have a big seed tray, like a normal, the big ones that you have. And like these, this is even a little bigger than the standard size, right?
No, longer. It's okay. I mean, for like a regular seed tray, like you'd get, it's a little bit longer, but I mean, that's just how these are built. But these, we have the lid over here.
Yeah, I've got it over here.
And so
what I was going to say is there's a couple different ways to do this. You can take your regular seed tray that you maybe have indoors, or you could have them outdoors, I guess. But and then you cover it with plastic. So, I mean, as simple as a saran wrap, or if you have it in your kitchen.
Yeah, if you have the saran wrap, something like this, it's narrow enough, just start at one end and then just drape it over, put it in, and then pop holes. Pop holes in it.
So there's a little bit of breathing going on.
Yeah, there's air exchange.
And I mean, the idea is obviously you're creating kind of its own little greenhouse or like humidity dome. And actually they come, like this is from Botanical Interests. And a lot of companies sell their own little tray plus dome kind of kit.
Yep, and this just snaps on. It just pops right on. So
that's an idea, for seed sowing. That will work for pretty much any seed, especially those that need the warmth. And we'll get to a hack later that we'll talk about that might, if you don't have this option, that this other hack might work too.
And really quick, guys, we didn't get to it because we're so busy. We wanted to have links for all of these that we were going to show, almost everything, in the description below for the video. We haven't gotten to those links yet, but everything's listed out, and we will get those right after the live in there. And so if you ever think about you want to get these supplies, you can just kind of come back and click on that real quick. Sorry, we didn't get those to you already.
I know.
So, okay.
So I guess the idea for us here, we have another, if you want to just put that right there.
Sure.
We have limited space here, but we're going to make it work. So we also have, our idea was to take that egg thing.
Oh, okay.
I think, right?
Egg carton.
We brought this in, and now I can't remember why. We were just going to sow some seeds with you, I think.
Well, I think we're gonna use this in a minute to sow some seeds. But the other thing is that we wanted to show you, this is just an egg carton that's just for eggs from Costco.
I know.
And it's like, why throw it out? Let's reuse it and let's fill it with soil. And you can see we've got some soil in here. I think this is actually the top. Yeah, this is actually the top. Okay. But you can still use the tops for this. But it's good to use these because they have little cells in them. I mean, if you can see that, there's little cells in there for each seed or 2 seeds at a time. And then if you're doing this, remember, poke holes in the bottom.
I was just going to say that.
Poke holes in each one of these little cells on the bottom, even with a knife or something or a screwdriver, so that water drains out.
And ideally, you do that before you fill it with soil and you have your setup all ready to go. We didn't do that yet because we didn't want it dripping all over the place yet.
No.
But we can easily just backtrack and do that. But what you would do with this hack is just take your plastic, probably like saran wrap, and just wrap it over the top. And if you don't have the time or the money to get one of these seed dome kind of situations, then that is a really easy hack.
And the other thing is that if you have the egg tray, don't take the top off of it, leave the top on, and then it'll just click over. And then you'll already have your built-in top to it. This I cut because I wanted more seed sowing surface area, but literally for that thing, it already had a top on it. So here's the top. So anyway.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So we'll get to that a little bit later. Yeah. But so Tracy said that she bought one of these last weekend and her seeds. She bought seeds and one of these last weekend. So she is like set.
You are ready to go, Tracy. Awesome.
So I'm going to move this over here. We just want, I mean, this is kind of an easy one, but we just wanted to show you that that is an option out there, you know, that some of you might not have been aware of, that you can like do that. You can DIY it at home if you need to. ABM, welcome to our show. I don't remember your handle, so thank you for being here.
Hi.
Mentioned that the flowers of their tomato plant just keep falling off.
Okay. So are these seedlings or are these like an actual tomato plant?
I mean, they said tomato plant and it's already flowering, so.
Oh, it's already flowering?
The flowers of their tomato plant keep falling off. I have tried artificial pollination, but not of any use. So I'm assuming your question is, why is that happening? There's no question here, but if we could infer, like, you know, maybe why is that happening?
Flowers. I thought you said leaves. Okay, so flowers keep falling off.
Any ideas?
I know there's a couple different diseases or different things go on with tomatoes that can make that happen. I don't know for sure with what you've given us, but I mean, blossom fall, are they rotting, or is it they just literally they're just falling off before they can be pollinated? I guess is another question for that. But
I would infer that.
Okay.
I mean,
so it could be it could be a stress factor. It makes me think. Oh, go ahead.
No.
Okay.
This is on the chat. Unrelated.
Okay. Nothing. Not related. So it makes me think there's some type of stress going on with the plant, because usually, obviously, plants don't do that. They want to keep their flowers right and get them pollinated and start growing the fruit, like in the case of the tomato. So if the tomato is growing to a point and then all of a sudden it's dropping, it has the flowers, and then it's dropping the flowers. It's either, to me, it's almost like, is it too wet? Is there too much watering going on? Or is it a nutrient thing? So since we can't look at it, and you know it's hard to get all this information in the chat, we would suggest maybe watch your watering. Make sure that your tomatoes aren't getting overwatered. And a good way to do that is just keep an eye on the soil and on the plant. If the plant wilts, then and the soil is getting dry, then obviously it's not enough water. If you're seeing wilting on the leaves on your plant and the soil is still wet and it's super wet, then that means you're overwatering. That's a good sign to know that you're overwatering and you need to cut that back. If that's not an issue and you're pretty sure you've got your watering dialed in, try some different like fertilizers. Try something like a time release fertilizer, and a lot of people kind of cringe when I say this, especially Allison, but Osmocote.
Oh,
it's easy. Yeah. It's simple. It's a time release. It's use a well balanced, 555, 1010, something like that, and put that in the soil. Make sure that those pellets do not get up against the stem of the plant or on the leaves, because actually once it's activated, it can burn the plant that way. Just put them on top of the soil, water it in, or use if you want to get the nutrients quickly in there, use like a liquid fertilizer, like was it Fox Farm has a good liquid fertilizer.
Well, I would recommend a Spoma, actually.
Okay.
They even have tomato tone once you get your plant.
Oh yeah, a Spoma has all different kinds of actual liquid fertilizers, and you can get them on Amazon.
Yeah.
They're readily available there. A couple other places online. There's always Miracle-Gro too. Just saying.
Try not to use that if you can.
It's readily available. It's easy to find, and it's easy to mix.
It's true. But
just saying.
It's speaking of a Spoma, we're connected with one of the reps for a Spoma, like she's worked there forever, and wasn't she explaining that they are actually coming up with a time release type of fertilizer?
It's a is it pelleted or is it?
It's yeah, that
it
sounds
is pelleted.
Familiar.
Yeah, it's encapsulated, I think.
We'll tell you. We'll bring you guys more about this when we hear more of it. It's in the works.
We don't have any yet. We haven't used it yet, but we want to. So we're going to talk to her about that. But I think it is being released either this month or this spring sometime. But we'll have to figure that out. But that's something to use. But I'm
excited for that.
So for your tomatoes, I'd look at the watering. If you just try and dial that in a little bit. If you're not sure, water the plant, check it with your finger or whatever, about down to 3 inches. If it's starting to dry out, from the top of the soil down to about 3 inches, give it some water, because they do like a lot of water, but they can be overwatered. So, yeah.
Angela Anderson in the chat's mentioning that it could be a temperature causing it. When the temp gets too high, her tomatoes drop their flowers.
See, another stress. Good.
So any of
Thank you.
those stresses, so that's
Thank
something
you,
to be
Angela.
mindful
Yeah.
of too.
Good thinking.
So
yeah.
maybe think about where you're growing your tomatoes right now. I mean, tomatoes like heat, so that's the thing. You know, they want that heat.
It could be a cold thing too, because it is really early in the season for tomatoes. So depending on where you're at, is it ABM?
ABM.
ABM. Yeah, depending on where you're located, ABM. If it's still really cold out, maybe you got your tomato plants and they were flowering, they're starting to flower. You bought them that way and you brought them home, and now you're putting them outside. And at nighttime temperatures, if you left them outside, that could literally tell them to click off biologically because of the cold temperatures too. So yeah.
So some type of stress.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because especially if there's no rot or you're not seeing any like insects, anything like that. So yeah. So lots of things to think about. Hopefully that helps.
Hopefully you can find the source of that so you can have your tomatoes this year. We want to. So I hope that was helpful. We're going to move on though. Kevin is here from Hawaii.
Morning, Kevin.
Who is not having a cold problem, temperature problem.
No. Well, it's all relative, right?
That's true.
It's all relative.
Elevation, maybe
you know, maybe in Hawaii it feels cold, but you know, for us it'd be warm. I don't know. Thanks for being here, Kevin.
I know. So Kevin, thank you. And then back to Angela mentioned, we were talking about different containers, like we were using our egg cartons. And Angela mentioned that she uses the rotisserie chicken containers from Costco.
Interesting.
So just poking holes in the bottom, I'm assuming, and off you go. You know?
That's
so
cool.
Great seed sowing.
Really?
And then it has a lid already, so you have your own humidity dome.
Nice.
So great idea.
Good. Yeah, that's really cool.
Okay, so let's move forward. You guys are probably sick of looking at this slide. So we'll go to our next hack. And again, maybe some of these are just ideas for you because you already know some of these, but now soaking is another treatment, but it could also be considered a hack. And basically the goal is to soften the seed coat so that you can it makes it easier for the seed to germinate. Can't talk today.
More tea, more coffee.
I'm working on it. So soaking.
No, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, seed soaking. Yeah, you're basically softening up that outside. That was funny.
I know. Sorry.
That was good.
I'm gonna work on it.
You're softening up the seed coat. You know, each seed has that different seed coat. Some are thicker, some are not so thick. But it's always good. You can always soak. You can soak almost any seed. It's just you don't want to soak them for too long if they don't have a really like strong or hard seed coat. So like even like lettuce doesn't have that thick of a seed coat. You can still soak it. It's not that big of a deal. Maybe for a couple hours up to maybe 6 hours. That's okay. And all you're doing is softening up and you're triggering that plant seed. Like, oh wow, there's a lot of moisture around me. Maybe I need to wake up. Oh, there's still more. Oh, okay, yeah, maybe I will wake up. I'm gonna germinate. So, and that helps them. So, but also, you know, for like nasturtiums, beans, okra, sweet peas, really thick, hard seed coats. You want to soften those up because then the radicle, the growing tip of the root that actually pushes through first on seeds to get through the seed coat and into the soil to start establishing the seed even further and get that germination. You're softening up that seed coat to help that radicle, that new root, the first root, to push through and get into the soil to really start doing what it needs to do. So
makes sense. The trick is remembering what you're soaking because we have a lot of different seeds that can use soaking here.
Read your seed packets.
So we're just going to use that, and also don't put a whole bunch together in one tray, which we've done before. And then you're like, cool, I just put all these nasturtiums in here and I don't know what's what. So you'll just be surprised.
You can see, you probably can't see it. This is filled with water. Yeah, we literally took a bunch of seeds one time and just all threw them in here. And we didn't think about it. We're like, we need to soak all these. Hurry, do it. And we did it.
It's like you can pick some of them apart if you have like nasturtiums versus maybe like, I don't know, a bean. Obviously, you know what beans look like. Yeah. But it's still fun. It was
hilarious. We had all these different, it was fun.
So anyway. So we've got, do we want to soak sweet peas or nasturtiums, which both could use soaking. In fact, on sweet peas actually recommend. We've got two different botanical interests, sweet peas, which we're really excited to grow.
I want to do sweet peas, but let's Rochambeau.
Let's maybe just pick one and move forward.
Okay. I want Rochambeau.
So, do you want to do, we've got this one I'm so excited about. This is called My Navy. Let us know in the chat if you've ever grown this. This is, again, a botanical interest sweet pea. And it's this gorgeous deep blue, almost purple color, at least on the illustration.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then our other one is called Perfume Delight. Now, we are I don't know, you could think maybe a week or two late on getting sweet peas started. A lot of people started these probably last month. We're going to go for it. We can still sow them up to 3 to 4 weeks before our frost date, which is right about where we are.
We are within that.
4 to 6, actually, it recommends.
We're definitely within that, so we're okay. So the thing to remember is if one of these seed packets says, like in this case, 4 to 6 weeks, and we're like a week and a half out, we can still sow them. It's just, we're not late at all. It's just, we need to realize that 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to be growing these indoors for a little bit longer past our last frost date.
Definitely.
To get that maturity level before we transplant them out into the garden. So,
well, and a word on sweet peas, great tip too. Can you pass, sorry, we have stuff everywhere. That box right there, please.
Okay, sure.
Now, sweet peas really, they highly are recommended to be grown in some type of biodegradable pot. So we're a little soon on this, but once we get these soaked, which they need to soak for about 12 to 24 hours.
I was just going to mention that. Yep.
So we'll let these soak overnight, most likely, or maybe, I kind of feel like we'll just probably let them go overnight. And then we've got these cute little, also from Botanical Interest, they have these little biodegradable pots, and basically they just have different sizes.
Oh,
remember these?
So yes, the transplant sensitive plants. Yes, there's a whole bunch of plants that do not like to be transplanted, so this is a great option.
This would be fun
for those plants. So you literally just plant them in here. If you don't know, you just plant them in here and then let them grow up. When the outside temperatures are warm enough and the plants are mature enough, just take the whole thing out, plant it in the ground. No transplant shock will happen.
It's
or
great.
very little will happen.
Right.
Yes.
And you can just there's a perforated bottom, so you can carefully just sort of tear the bottom off if you want, or you can just, if you want to, to try to help it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But they have different sizes. This is a little 3-inch pot, so I think this would be okay for starting.
Yeah.
Those.
Totally.
And they have
So let's put some seeds in some water. I can't remember. Do we need to scarify these?
I think we might.
Nick the seed coat.
So we have 2 treatments we need to do. So we're going to.
So Scarifying is another treatment besides soaking. We're going to get to that in a minute, but we can show you a little bit of that right now, or do you want to wait?
No, let's go ahead.
Okay. So
2 treatments, and also nasturtiums would be handled the same way. They have if you're not familiar with their seeds, they're even bigger than these. They're I'm not going to open them yet.
So there's the little seed.
I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. So I got a whole bunch in my hand. I got to put some back because I can't handle that many and scarify all those all at once. So I'm going to put these down here. Now, scarification. Do you want to talk about scarification?
No, go ahead. I was thinking maybe we could move it to the next slide and then we'll...
Is that scarification?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure the next slide's... So we'll find out. Oh, it's not.
Well, it's paper towel method.
Well, okay.
Let's wait to scarify these.
Okay.
And then, so the paper towel method. What's going on in the chat there? These things are popping around. Okay, cool.
Okay.
I'm going to put this over here.
So let's see. We will... So the next quick hack we've shown you before related to a different purpose. So it's I don't know, there's probably a better name for it, but we call it the paper towel method. And we showed you this a couple months ago when we did a different seed sowing live, where you can use this also to check germination or viability of your seeds. Mm-hmm. But this is also a way to get them started, and it's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Take it away.
Okay. Yeah, so the whole idea here is to, it's more of a way to help your seeds, definitely help your seeds germinate and keep that moisture on both sides. Because what you're doing is, literally you're getting a paper towel and you're wetting it down, laying it all the way out flat, and then you put the seeds on one side and then you just drape this over. And then what you're doing is you're literally doing the same thing that happens in the soil. You're keeping that moisture all around the whole seed surface and keeping it close to it. And you'll want to mist this or rewater it as it dries out to make sure those seeds stay wet until they germinate. And this is a fun way to literally watch your seeds and observe them and see, if you're going to watch them every day, you can see on what day they germinate. And so this is compared to sowing them in the soil. You can't see that. you literally can't observe it with most seeds because they're down below the soil surface. So if you have a seed that needs to be planted down below the soil surface and you kind of want to watch it germinate, and you also want to make sure and use this method to keep that soil, the paper wet around that plant, keep all that moisture around that seed, this is a great way to do that. And so this is a fun way and good way to do that. So
we did have a question. You know what? We were talking about this Barb beforehand. Barb asked if we could make the video bigger when we nick the seeds. So,
sure.
But we can at least do that. But
sure. Good. Thank you, Barb.
We'll do that next. Sorry, I forgot that's the next one.
So this is just a fun way to do that. And literally what we have here, as you can see, here's a paper towel. It's already wet. We've got it in a container. And what we'll do is do we have any beans?
I was thinking marigolds, actually.
Let's do marigolds.
Cool. Yeah, just because they're right here. And now these are Siam Gold F1. We were sent these to try. And they're these marigolds. I don't know if you guys like growing marigolds, but these marigolds are giant yellow flowers. They're huge.
Go ahead and look them up.
I'm really excited to try
Look them up. Take a gander. Here we go.
So how many would you like?
Let's do 10.
Marigold seeds are very, I don't know, not small, but they remind me of cosmos seeds a little bit.
So usually with marigold seeds, generally, you place them just at the top of the soil, and you can maybe cover them with a little bit of soil just so you can't see them anymore. But usually they're right on top of the soil, and you just press them into the soil. So what we're going to do, here's the little seed. Cool. Okay.
Can you even see that?
I know, right? So I'm just going to place these.
What if I hold this up and we can just, how would that work?
Sure.
Like that?
Sure. Just not too much of an angle there so we don't lose these from where I place them.
I know, Tracy, we love marigolds as well. There's just, they have such great benefits too in your garden for, repelling certain pests and attracting certain beneficial pests, and plus they're just kind of fun. I'm always and I know Sean is too. We're big fans of flowers that kind of have a ball shape, so that's always fun.
Well, these are in the daisy family, so that's it. Yeah.
And so that's all I'm going to do is just cover this and make sure that it's making contact with all the seeds.
Yep. And we can also do something really quick here.
So just kind of patting that down.
I don't think this is.
I don't know did we put water in there?
Yeah, I did.
And then the goal would be to put it somewhere in, maybe not in direct sunlight because you don't want it to dry out, but make sure and keep them moist. Just spray over the top.
Here we go.
And just check it depending on your temperature inside and whatnot. But yeah, I know, Valerie, they are happy flowers. Marigolds they're happy. They just make us happy.
So if you wanted to use the paper towel method and you're not sure, now you just saw us do it. That's how you do it for pretty much all the seeds. Now, marigolds don't need a treatment like a scarification or something called a stratification, a cold stratification. They just literally need the moisture around them, and doing this is what they need. So this is a fun way to just, we got a tag.
I'm just going to do that because I just made a quick tag because we always forget.
Allison keeps us organized.
So that's the paper towel method.
Woo! Cool.
So I think the next one is scarification. So, and again, Barb and everyone, we'll make the screen bigger again.
Scarification. Oh, sorry guys. I had it and then I took it off. There we go. Okay, now we're back. All right.
So there are several seeds that need this treatment, but but obviously you don't have to do this with every seed, luckily. But think of some of your bigger, harder seed coats like nasturtiums, sweet peas, sometimes maybe beans, but usually beans germinate pretty easily.
Some need a little scarification.
Some might need it.
Some I think it's squash. I think squash might need a couple. I've got too many seeds there.
But basically supplies needed, just like some type of small file or like a little knife.
Yes.
Depending on how comfortable you feel with, you're dealing with a very small object.
And I've got a couple of files here. So what I'm going to do is, hold on. So definitely with with nicking or scarification, you're literally removing part of the seed coat to open that seed up, literally inside, open it up to the outside atmosphere, and make sure that the seed gets the water through that nick or that scratch or cut into the seed to then help it start to germinate, wake it up, and get that radical, that new root out of the seed there. So I'm gonna make us bigger.
We're growing.
We're growing.
Morning glories and lupin are some other seeds that can require some nicking. So
yes. And so what I have here are some, these are just wood files that I have. Actually, this is a wood file. This is a wood file. And then here is a file. It's a round file. You can see that right there. This is actually a file I use on our chainsaw. But you can still use this if you want to on a seed. It really comes down to how big is the seed, how easy is it going to be to put in your fingers, between your fingers, and use one of these. Really what I like to do is use something that's angled, and this is like a little triangle angled file, and then this has a flat edge to it, and then it's rounded, but it also has a definite edge here, and you can use those edges fairly easily to scratch the surface of these, because these seeds are really small. See that? This is our sweet peas we were talking about. These are my sweet navy or whatever.
My navy.
My navy. There it is, right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just take this file right on that edge and put it right on the top on here on this seed, and just going to nick it.
So let's see. I know. How do we do this without hurting yourself and showing this?
Oh, I'm fine. It's the knives you got to worry about. So I'm literally on the seed surface. There we go. So I don't know if you can see that. It's really hard to see, I guess.
We're going to make it. We were already talking about making this into a video so we can actually be up close. It's kind of hard to do it.
I'm going to describe it to you. I literally took part of the seed coat right off, and part of it came off here, but I've exposed, there's a little bit of it right there. I've exposed the inside of the seed right there. I can see the meat of the seed right there. And so I know I've broken through that seed coat. So I'm just going to plop this down.
Nice. And I'll set a timer on my phone.
So that's going in the water. That's going in the water. And so this is one of those seeds that needs to be soaked, but also needs to be scarified. So it also needs that nick. So just as an example. Other examples, nasturtiums, beans, different kinds of beans. Oh, yeah. Usually what I do is I use one of my knives on me. And so I'm not used to using this, but this is fun and this is easy, and I can't cut myself. So it's a good alternative.
Can you use like something as small as a nail file? Like a lot of people have emery boards and things around the house.
So hold on. So I've got my multi-tool. Let's see. There's a knife I can use, but also, let's see, here's the file. Yep. So if you got a file on a multi-tool or pocket knife or whatever, here it is right here. Use that edge. You just go ahead and keep using the edge of something. Just move it back and forth, and just keep track of where you're at, and just look at it every once in a while, see if you're breaking through, because you don't want to go too far in. You just want to be able to get that seed coat off and start seeing the meat of the seed inside there, and then you want to stop. If you go any further than that, you can actually damage the seed, and it might hurt its ability to germinate. So okay, so almost there. There we go. Yep, there we go. Got it. Woo! Okay, next up, I am going to use a knife. So I'm going to use my everyday carry knife. So here we go. I'm just going to use this just to show you.
Angela Anderson in the chat mentioned that she uses a kitchen zester for nicking seeds, and that works.
Really?
Works really well.
Is that? It must be easy to get in there. If I think of a zester, it doesn't sound too easy to be able. How do you do that?
Let us know in the chat. That is interesting.
Do you find a way to just take one of the seeds and make it just stationary and lock it in, and then you can zest it that way, or do you set the zester down and then move the seed over it?
I don't know. Yeah, because they have those little holes. There's little tiny gratings, basically. And Valerie says that life is short and I should celebrate my birthday all month long. Oh, yes. By the way, yesterday was Allison's birthday.
And Valerie,
thank you for saying Valerie said happy birthday.
Say that, yeah, it was Allison's birthday.
I kind of forgot to.
And so we're not going to say what her age is, but she's just young. And so, yeah.
I'm another year younger. That's amazing.
So it is the birthday weekend.
It's birthday weekend.
Allison wanted to do birthday months.
Well, that's what Valerie just said, and I like that idea.
I think that's a little excessive. I do. I'm used to just the one day. I can compromise and say birthday weekend. That's cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Got some ideas.
I think sometimes we celebrate everybody all the time, and so I think a birthday month is.
See, he doesn't agree. So, I think it's a great idea, and I'm going to just roll it out. So There we go.
There you go. So I guess that's what we're doing.
I guess that's what we're doing. Okay, thank you. I love that. Thank you for bringing that up. That was really sweet.
So
Angela mentioned about the zester.
Yes.
That just use it like a grater, basically.
Okay.
That's cool.
Okay.
I mean, because especially with the zester, those holes are so small. It's almost like it kind of could be like a file. So I can get why you can just hold it carefully and like. Yeah, that's cool.
That's great. Yeah, you know what?
Really cool idea.
Go with what you know.
I know.
And,
I love
what
that
works. You know, a lot of times we got to go with what we know works. You know, so.
Oh, and Valerie mentioned you could try. Yeah, this is a good idea. So like if you're scared to hold it, you know, you could try holding like a seed in tweezers or something, and then using the knife.
Great idea.
Or forceps.
Forceps, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've gotten 5 seeds ready to go. Do you want to do? Do more than that?
I always want more, but I think that's great for and that's sweet navy.
Yes,
we will not do any more.
Maybe for time we need to.
We need to move on. Okay. I know we could just keep going and going.
I know.
I'll take that, and we'll go to the next slide.
Okay, I'm gonna move all the files.
All the scary things.
What's scary about files?
Nothing.
Oh, you mean the knives?
Let's get the tools out of the way.
Okay.
All right. So moving on with hacks, and thank you guys. This is fun to hear like what other things work for you guys. And
I would have never thought of the zester.
I know. I love that. Let's see. April Michelle in the chat. So hi, April.
Hi, April.
Thanks for joining us. I don't know if I recognize your name. Black-eyed Susan vine is on the agenda, says April.
Awesome.
So related to our poll, I'm assuming, because if we could pause for a minute, which seeds are on your sowing list soon? So we asked you guys, what are you sowing? Zinnias are in the top spot right now, and why not?
Oh my God.
48%.
You know what? Everybody's saying that. Why don't we sow some zinnias?
Let's do some zinnias. We have like 1,000 zinnia packets over here. I'm going to get them. Okay. Next would be sweet peas. So,
sweet peas.
Which
we just
totally agree with. And then nasturtiums about 5%. I'm wondering if some of you are waiting. Either you have never grown them before, which you should if you haven't, because they're amazing, or maybe you're just waiting to direct sow them, because that's an easy way to do nasturtiums too. And then other. So lots of others.
We're growing.
Let's see. Nail file. Anne Moy in the chat. Hi, Anne. Anne said a nail file works for her too.
Cool. Good.
Tracy said both of her sons have birthdays this week. Hey, isn't that cool?
That's
Today
really cool.
Today is her oldest son's birthday. You should be celebrated all month. Oh, thank you, Tracy. That's really sweet. And you know what, fellow Pisces, that's super cool. That's funny you say that, Tracy, because in my family growing up, there were 3 of us in a row. It was my grandpa was on March 7th, mine was on March 8th, and my dad's was today. Today would have been my dad's 78th birthday, but sadly he passed away when he was 56. So we missed him very much, and we think about him. And that's neat that in your family you have a lot of birthdays in the same week too.
Definitely. I'm just putting it out there. I'm a Capricorn.
Capricorn.
So, yeah. So
January 18th.
Take that for what it's worth.
It's an amazing time to be born. Amazing. I'm prone to be, to Pisces, but
yeah.
Pisces. Okay, so moving on.
Really quick, can you hand me some zinnia seeds?
Would you like to grow our new seeds that we just ordered from Eden Brothers, Profusion Cherry Bicolor?
Awesome.
Now, if you guys aren't familiar, first of all, zinnias. We love zinnias.
So there's that. I'm just showing that.
Oh, the back.
I know. That's cute. I want to show that.
Zinnias are amazing, right? I mean, I'm sure obviously in the chat, that's the top seed sown right now.
Zinnias are the best.
We have some new ones we're going to try this year, which we're excited about. We didn't actually grow zinnias last year, and we were very sad. But the Profusion line of zinnias, if you're not familiar with that, they are amazing. They have multiple colors. A lot of them are bicolor.
Yep, and some of them, go ahead. Well, I was going to say, and some of them fade over time into different colors later on as they mature. So it just makes it really fun just having them in the garden. And it changes up the texture and just the feel of your garden.
I kind of want to do a whole live devoted just to zinnias, and we can go through different zinnias. I think that's coming, you guys.
I'm game.
I think we're going to do that. But speaking of this Profusion line, one thing we really love about them is whether you grow from seed or you get like a vegetative plant, at the nursery, they spread. And they're like a shorter grower for zinnias. That's something we really love about them. We love zinnias for their tall stems and cut flower ability, but these Profusions are great for like a front border.
So this is something cool. These
Really?
have
Oh, look at
been
those.
colored, so they have. It says right on the
They're blue.
what do you call it? On the label here, it says colored coated for higher visibility in soil.
They're blue.
Yeah, isn't that cool? We haven't seen these yet. This is fun.
That's so. Sorry, I could talk all day about profusion.
So I'm gonna.
Love
So
that.
it's a 1/4 inch. So I'm just gonna get these done.
So while you're doing that, this is so cool. Tracy mentioned it. Sorry, we're all talking about birthdays still. Tracy mentioned it, and thank you, Mark, for your nice thoughts there. I appreciate that. Tracy mentioned that her youngest son's name is Sean, spelled the same way.
Awesome.
Sean loves it when he meets another Sean.
Sean's
and then
unite.
if it's spelled the same, that's just.
That's like icing on the cake.
It's just amazing for him.
Because we don't spell it all the same.
There are a lot of spellings different.
There's like a million different ways.
There's so many ways to spell Sean, and a lot of them, of course, have the historical roots and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But what was I going to say? Oh, and Tracy said she's a Capricorn too.
Awesome.
Look at all those connections.
Capricorns unite.
That's so fun, Tracy. Thank you for sharing that. Anne Moy just asked, where did you buy those interesting zinnia seeds? I love that you asked that. These are from Eden Brothers. We just picked them up, so I believe they're still in stock. And you know what? I will get that link for you and put it in the chat, and you can use our promo code and save 15%.
Yeah, which is Spoken Garden, all one word.
I'll put that in here for you. I'm sorry we don't have these links ready.
That was my goof.
No,
sorry,
well,
guys.
and I could have helped too. Okay, so yeah, I should have thought of this because I want to show you guys what these look like. Oh my
cherry
gosh.
bicolor.
If you like pink flowers, like hot pinks, magenta type colors, and like you mentioned, the profusions fade. They're a bicolor, so they start one color and they kind of blend to a new color, and they're just so pretty.
Not all zinnias do that.
They do not. This line does, though.
Yes.
So you guys, I'm putting in the chat right now the link to Eden Brothers so you can see these profusion zinnias that we're sowing. And I want to add in here, let's see, how should I write this? Our promo code is Spoken Garden, all one word.
Mm-hmm.
We love Eden Brothers, but if you can save money and you're going to buy them anyway, it's no cost to you, and we get a little bit of a affiliate link for that. So we don't really talk about it too much, but let's see, 15% off your entire order. Okay, so in the chat now, the link to the profusion cherry bicolor, and then our promo code, which you just type in at checkout. You don't need any special code for that. So you guys, I hope that helps. Where do you find the black-eyed Susan vine? Angela asked. Gosh, where did we get ours?
Seed Savers.
Is that Seed Savers? I mean, there were a few out there.
It was Seed Savers or seedexchange.org.
We might have got them at Park Seed too.
Well, okay, so we had two of them then. I remember Seed Savers.
Okay.
And those are all heirloom, by the way. Those are all heirloom seeds. They're non-GMO.
Yeah.
So is Eden Brothers.
Yes.
Eden Brothers is all, GMO free, all naturally pollinated, bred, all of that. So
yeah, I know. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Black-eyed Susan vines are very fun to grow, and we grew them from seed, and they did very well, and we also bought them vegetatively at the garden center. So they come in different colors too, so you can actually kind of experiment. So Sean's having fun over here.
I only did half.
I should be making a little tag.
I only did half of this whole tray because if we're going to sow some more seeds today here with everybody, we have room to do that.
This makes me happy. This was on my birthday list. I wanted to get some seeds started finally.
You guys have motivated us to actually sow zinnias this year, because last year we just never found time to do it.
Well, and we really didn't have anywhere to put them, and this year we will. So that was kind of another thing. Yeah. So profusion cherry. Now another profusion one I would recommend, which we're also going to sow this year, is profusion red yellow bicolor is what it's called. It's an AAS winning zinnia. So I'm kind of surprised the cherry one isn't, but basically that means it was trialed all over the United States, and all the judges picked that one because it had great growing habit. It had a really long bloom time, and we've experienced that. We grew the red yellow bicolor in our garden, and it was gorgeous, and it spread all over the place. And like I mentioned, they stay really low. They're only like, gosh, maybe 8 feet tall, mature height. Do you remember? Maybe
8 to 12 inches
8 to 12?
usually. So this specific one gets 14 to 18
Oh,
inches.
so maybe a little bit
there's a
higher.
little bit of range with all of these, but the ones we grew before were, I think it was either 8 to 12 inches or 12 to 18 inches, but they stayed about a foot tall where we had them.
Oh,
We had them in
you're right.
full
I'm thinking they were
sun,
shorter.
afternoon, full sun. I mean, the summertime, it literally just became this mound of zinnia flowers, of bicolored zinnia flowers with all these beautiful leaves. It was thick. It was gorgeous.
So pretty.
We literally, all we needed to do is just plant them and keep them watered, and they did everything else themselves.
And they self-cleaned. We didn't have to, we didn't have to do anything.
Didn't have to pinch them. Didn't have to prune them. They were easy. So
okay, so check in the chat. We just dropped the red, yellow bicolor link in there so you can see what they look like. Awesome. They actually bloomed yellow and faded to like this rose pink color, almost not quite red, but remember they were just gorgeous.
It was like a sunset. It reminded me just kind of like a sunset, an orangish, reddish sunset color. It was beautiful.
I love that. Oh, I'm so excited now. Mark said we're the kings of pots, so we should be able to find room for, and I totally
right, Mark.
It's like we already need more containers.
That's a good one, yeah. Right.
We need to start collecting more containers. So
yeah, we do.
And because we're still in a temporary situation, it's like not all of our containers are that pretty right now. Some of them are just like the 2-gallon pots that our plants came in from Proven Winners or whatnot. We're just, we kind of are using anything we can find at this point, right?
Yeah.
Because it gets expensive.
It does. It gets very expensive. Well, and why throw stuff away when you can keep reusing it and just kind of upcycle it and stuff? So
we definitely do that.
Yeah. So we need to move on with our hats.
Yes. Okay.
So
we got our zinnias sown.
Here we go. Cold stratification.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Sweet.
So we've definitely talked about, and we filmed a video last March showing you this, which we probably maybe recommended started a little bit earlier, maybe January or February for some of these seeds.
Yes.
And I know Mark's mentioned some of these seeds that you would do this treatment with. You, Mark, mentioned that you were going to wait till the fall, and we might as well. Just
this is a fun way to actually, if you forgot to plant like your coneflowers, this is great for. So let me back up, sorry. This cold stratification is literally exposing seeds under moisture conditions, high moisture conditions, because you want to break that seed coat and trigger the seed to germinate, but exposing that moisturized seed to colder temperatures for a certain amount of time to also trigger it to germinate. Now, this is mainly an evolutionary programming. It's evolutionary programming for that seed because they didn't want to germinate too soon, or they didn't want to germinate without the right conditions to then continue their growth cycle because they want to be successful to not only grow, but to flower, reproduce, and keep the whole cycle going. So some seeds evolve this way, literally. So this is great to use if you forgot to plant your poppy seeds, your echinacea, your lavender, even your verbena that need this type of treatment. If you forgot to plant them in the fall, this past fall, you can still expose them to a cold treatment of anywhere from 35 to maybe 45 or 50 degrees. But keep them moist. Keep them either in a paper towel, the paper towel method, or in soil, and keep them moist. Keep that soil moist for under those temperature conditions for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever those plants, specific plants need. And so if you forgot this past fall, you can do it now and trigger all this. It's going to take them a little bit longer to then germinate, mature, to then plant them out. But if you want to trick the plant to germinate, this is a way to do that. So you can use your refrigerator or somewhere really cold around in your house. So.
And, I'm thinking just be mindful of the fact that most of these cold stratification works really well for most of your perennials, especially like some natives and stuff might, because that's their natural cycle.
Well, especially northern natives. If you're in North America,
that's true.
If you're in the Southwest, it might not be prevalent, but if you're in the Northern Plains or Northwest or Northeast, definitely a lot of native species.
Good point. I'm glad you mentioned that. But, this is, with these, we get excited. I get excited. I get impatient.
Me too.
And I'm wondering, like, where's my flower? So you have to remember, a lot of these aren't going to probably bloom till their second year of growth anyway. So it's like, it's kind of a year to 2 year process if you look at it that way. But it's so rewarding and worth it. There are some coneflower seeds in the market that do claim to bloom in the first year. Like
Well,
you know, no, I can't think of any,
well,
but there are some out
there
there.
are some out there, yeah, like Allison said, and it can be tricky too because just because they say that, you still need to figure in either start them in the previous fall, and then they might flower in that next fall,
Yeah, that would be
that next
ideal.
end of summer, beginning of fall, or start them now and get them that cold treatment in your refrigerator or whatever. You still, even if you started them now, you could still see possibly a flower in the fall. But if you start them usually in the spring, you're not going to see a flower until the next spring or summer, the next year. So that's just how perennials usually go. Some plants will flower in that next year, like coneflowers. Some take a couple of years before they'll actually start to flower, 2 or 3 years. So just
That's a good point.
make sure you know more about your plant. So yeah,
It's so worth it, but sometimes I'm like, I want the blooms now. It's a lot cheaper growing from seed.
And you know what?
Versus buying, just buying it at the store.
Definitely.
Garden center.
And I just noticed on here on these slides, we put next steps, and we haven't been talking about that. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So literally, if you're going to do cold stratification, you put them in the refrigerator for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it is, like lavender, and they germinate. What you need to do is once they germinate, take them out of the refrigerator, get them under some lights or natural light if you can, or outside if the timing's right, and there's no frost, threat of frost or whatever, because those seedlings are very susceptible to frost damage. Get them out, get them under light, and keep the watering up and keep them growing. So, sorry guys,
I know.
we meant to do that on the next steps. We just got so excited with stuff. So anyway,
we have a really good question in the chat, which is I'm kind of thinking that a lot of people talk about this. Like that maybe. Well, okay. Let me just ask a question from Zell7. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Thanks for being here, Lisa.
I know. Hi. Thank you. Is sterilizing seed starting mix necessary?
So is using sterilized seed starting mix necessary?
I'm assuming they mean sterilizing themselves, like taking seed starting mix and sterilizing.
Excuse me. Sorry, guys.
I would say no, because if you buy the right stuff, I mean...
Well, that's the whole thing. You can take that extra step and sterilize it yourself if you think you need to. Usually when you buy, I think you just basically said this, when you buy new like seed starting mix, especially if it's seed starting soil, usually it's a soilless media, meaning it's bark, perlite, peat moss, or some other type of, whatever mix of things in there, and it's already been sterilized. All those components usually are already sterilized and then put together and sterilized before it's sold to you and you bring it home. Now, if you're reusing any soil, if you're reusing soil, like seed starting soil that you used earlier this year or last year, it's a good idea to sterilize it, because depending on where you're at, you could have different kinds of molds and mildews. There could be different even bacteria, depending on which plants you're growing. And if you saw any of that, if you saw any disease or dampening off or any type of anything at all that you think happened in your soil and you want to reuse the soil, definitely sterilize it. And otherwise, you're going to keep seeing those diseases continue in your seed starting area with that soil and those plants. So, yeah.
And Mark was mentioning fungus gnats and eggs. But again, if you're buying brand new, then you shouldn't need to do that.
Yeah.
But if you're not buying,
it depends, because if you're using brand new soil and then you're doing seed starting and you see the fungus gnats and anything else come after that, it could have been brought in from something else, from the seeds themselves. They could have been tainted. Could have came in through the air, through the door, the fan or whatever. I mean, it could be down below where you're growing things. If you're growing in like a greenhouse or something, there could have been debris from something, and whatever, too much moisture, debris, gnats, disease can get up there, with wind or air movement. So yeah. But if you're reusing soil and you saw any fungus gnats, any other insects or anything like that, sterilize it or just chuck it, get rid of it, or compost it and bring in new stuff. A lot of times just bringing in new stuff is easier. So
yeah. Okay. So, good question.
Yeah, great question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, moving forward, we're on number 6. We just have a couple more to show you, and just to get you thinking, maybe thinking of supplies that you have or some things you might want to do this weekend. We hope some of these are helpful, and at least giving you
some heating mats.
So heating mat, that's something that not everybody has, but if you have one, it's really helpful to keep your soil consistently warm. A lot of seeds, really need that either to germinate or just to grow properly, like zinnias, like tomato, pretty much anything in the nightshade family, right?
Well, and anything that needs more of a warm season crop or flower.
Yeah.
I mean, they need temperatures above 60 degrees. I mean, these heating mats are really cool, and most of them come with a 120 plug or 110 plug, depending on what you have out in your greenhouse or growing area. Just plug it in the wall or a power strip or whatever. And here's one of ours. And here I'm going to just unfurl this. But it literally is just this mat. I won't go all the way because I can't control it. It's a little dirty too.
Oh yeah, we need to clean that.
But literally, it's just this mat with these strips of electricity. These are little electrical strips, and they just literally warm up when you plug it in, and it basically heats from the bottom up. It's used to keep the soil warm. A lot of seed packets say, keep soil or keep the temperature at 60 to 65 to 75, whatever. You can apply that to the air temperature, but really it's the soil temperature, because if you're trying to get it to germinate, soil temperature is what you want, not really air temperature. You can go by air temperature, but soil temperature is more exact. So, and I'm going to re-roll this up.
It's getting all over.
Yeah, it's getting pretty dirty here. So,
but did you mention
I did not.
The thermostat?
I did not.
Which doesn't usually come with these heating mats.
No, usually those are extra. And you want to get a thermostat just from the standpoint of controlling the temperature of these heat mats, because if you just plug in the heat mat, it's going to heat up to its optimum temperature, and it's going to stay at that. And that could be like 80 degrees. That could be 90 degrees. Just kind of depends on the manufacturer and how they designed it. So a good way to control that temperature is using one of these thermostats. And so what we have here is we have a thermostat, and this actually gives you an analog readout of what your temperature is, because you'll plug this into the wall, and then what you'll do is you'll plug in, well, I won't do it here, but then you'll plug in your electrical mat right into this thermostat, so it plugs right into the bottom here. And so what happens is you can get a readout from that. You get a readout on the thermostat from this probe that goes in the soil. And so this in the soil monitors the temperature, comes back up here, gives you the readout, and you can set this to turn off and on based on what the temperature is, your optimal temperature is. And so once your heating mat reaches that temperature that you want, the optimal range from the probe that gives you that up here, this will literally turn off the electrical plug to the heating mat if it gets too hot or at that temperature range. And then once it gets low enough below the temperature range you want on here, it clicks it back on. So it's almost like a little circuit breaker. And so this works really well. We've had great success with this. And this is from VivoSum. I mean, whatever. It's a nice little.
There's a few.
There's so many out there. So anyway, so these are really fun. They're not that expensive to get. There's a lot of cheap options out there. This one I like too because it's got a little loop up on the top of it up here, and so you can take like a zip tie or a little twist tie or something and just literally put it up on a pipe, or you can nail it up, hanging on a nail, and then it just hangs there, and then it's real easy to have up and see. And watch that temperature. So anyway,
I've got a link for that here if anybody needs.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Trying to open that up.
So if you're going to use a heating mat, if you want to really optimize that temperature and really help your germination, get one of these little thermostats too, and that'll really help out.
Yeah, good.
Yep. So
they're under $20, so they're not too bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving forward, this is something we can't show you, but a lot of people in the chat, and you guys all are helping each other, which is awesome. They're
really
talking about sterilizing. Barb was asking how do you sterilize?
Oh yeah.
And some other people were mentioning they poured boiling water over the seed starting mix and then let it cool overnight.
That's really fun because my family used to own a rhododendron farm, and we would sterilize our own soil because we'd make our own cutting soil mix, starting
that's
cuttings. And so we would literally boil water, and we would make the mix up. We would use like a cement mixer, and we would throw in the perlite, the peat moss, and the bark.
Oh, wow.
And we would put it all in there and then mix it all together. And then we would take that out, put it into the beds where we were going to have the cuttings. And we would literally take boiling hot water and just put it all over that soil and just let it drain all the way through. That's how we sterilized our soil.
Sounds like that's what a lot of you have done as well.
That's cool. I forgot all about that.
I've heard of ways of like baking, just putting them in, I don't even know what the temperature would be, but enough to sterilize.
What a lot of companies do is they'll take steam. They'll steam sterilize. Sense. They have huge vats where they bring the soil in or the components of it, and they just steam clean, just literally just steam sterilize. It's like 200, 300 degrees.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Just get a huge mass quantity all at once.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you guys need to do that. I guess that's a great trick, though. A lot of you were talking about really aggressive fungus gnats and mosquitoes and different things. And
we've had fungus gnats before.
We have, but we never had to do, honestly, that's...
You know what we did? We used a mixture really quick of water and...
the soapy water.
And soap. Was it dishwashing soap? Just a little bit in the water, mix it up, squirt it. Didn't hurt the plants really at all, and every time we saw those gnats, just squeeze, and it just knocked them down because the oil of the soap literally just locks on, and it suffocates them, and it also just makes it so they can't use their wings anymore. It just literally just
sad, actually.
Well, it's kind of if you want to get rid of them, you want to get rid of them.
Taken over. We also had moved some nursery plants into our old greenhouse, and that might have brought them in. Because our soil was fine before that, and then we had like all these plants in there.
We had gnats, we had aphids. I think we even had like white flies.
Yeah, we had a lot, and it was like we had like a cold snap, if I remember right, and we moved everything in, and we didn't no. But
so this next treatment hack, whatever you want to call it, is literally using a seed rack and creating your own standing greenhouse. You might have seen other people do this either outside or in their garages. Right here, you can see a picture of me putting together our little Aggie seed rack with grow lights. I was putting that together. We had a little quick short on that, just really quick. Together. That was I think our latest short. That was fun. And that was Mario music, Super Mario music in the background. Anyway, I like that. I like that. I grew up with that. Anyway, okay. So when you put one of these together, or you have one of these or any type of seed rack, you can literally take either clear plastic, you can take different kinds of poly plastic, or even black plastic like the plastic garbage bags, and just cut them open, flatten them out, and drape them over or tape them to the sides. And you're literally enclosing those areas to be more like a greenhouse and keep the heat inside. You really, for germination, you can have grow lights, and then you don't need any other light sources to come in. So black plastic's perfectly fine. So anyway, that was a nice hack to create a little mini greenhouse. Yeah,
and we haven't decided if we're going to need to do that yet. We do have, it's kind of drafty in our garage, and
it's cold.
We're going to have heat mats, and we have grow lights. So I'm like, do we really need it? I don't know.
I think it's going to add, it would add to it if we did do it. So.
We have the supplies, and you can fasten it with like duct tape or zip ties even, or just like clips. But duct tape. So I know we have plenty of all of that.
I vote for duct tape.
Duct tape is fine. So, and then the next steps would be, once things start germinating, you can keep it covered, or you can unwrap it and let them kind of start getting used to some, if they're at least
some colder climates a little bit, but really.
We're not at the point where we're like trying to harden them off yet. So I guess you could keep them protected.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple more weeks.
Yeah,
maybe.
Let them mature, let them grow. You might need to reach a point where they need to be kept under those conditions, under greenhouse condition, but also they're getting so big that you might need to transplant them into larger containers or larger little mini pots instead of keeping them in seed trays. So just keep an eye on them and watch their growth and their height and different things.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Makes sense. So last seed hack or treatment is, kind of a hack, and a lot of you, we saved this one for last just because most of you are already aware of this one, but it's just fun to think. One thing we were thinking is we didn't get as many milk jugs started yet as we wanted to. It's still winter. We still have many more months of cooler temperatures that we can use milk jugs. So it's not just for winter sowing. We can do some late winter, early spring sowing in milk jugs.
Mm-hmm.
We could even maybe repeat the process in later fall, maybe for some of our perennial seeds.
Yeah, right now is a good time for these milk jugs to do, African daisies, even some petunias. We could actually put petunias in there. It's getting, our temperatures here are getting warm enough in the nighttime. We could do some petunias too.
I don't know if we have petunia seeds right now. We'll have to look through our inventory.
I thought
think
we did.
We used them all.
Oh,
but
okay.
we can maybe get some more.
Maybe we'll get some more.
Maybe we need to get more.
Yeah,
so, we just wanted to bring that up just because a lot of us, either you've already started it, you already have seedlings, hopefully, that have germinated and are growing.
Mm-hmm.
I know last year we were so excited, that whole line of milk jugs in that picture. We had a lot of different things, some of which germinated, some of it didn't.
Yeah.
But we had over 50% germination, I think. And we had tried some seeds that we thought were kind of old and not viable anymore. So we sort of took a chance on those, and they did not germinate. So
we did
no
good.
harm, no foul.
No, it was great. Yeah, and so for next steps on this too, once you see those seeds germinate, watch how big they get in those containers, because the one thing you don't want is to have them start growing out the very narrow top of the container. And we actually had that happen with at least one of those jugs last year with the African daisies. They literally started shooting up, and they were growing up, and then they grew up into the opening, and they were starting to come out because we just hadn't gotten to them yet. So once they start growing up and they're crowding each other inside there, and they've got their first true pair of leaves, start thinking about transplanting them. And if it's still cold outside, transplant them, but keep them inside under either grow lights or in a greenhouse, so they're still protected from any cold, freezing temperatures until you can plant them out. Get them hardened off and plant them out. So those are some next steps. So. And then
that was the last hack. That's right. So we just wanted to bring to your attention again, and then we'll go to big screen here.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure, if you haven't already, to get signed. I mean, if you're interested, get signed up for the Great Grow Along, which is basically a big free online flower and garden festival.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole bunch of education sessions, and what they're doing this year, which is really fun. Well, they're in the 4th year.
Yep, this is their 4th year. They started in 2020. So it's changed and developed over the last couple of years, and this year it's going to be on the weekends.
Yeah.
Starting next weekend, it'll be all weekend.
Already?
Yeah,
wow.
It'll be the 16th. They start. So and they've got this whole agenda. You can go to greatgrowalong.com. They've got all the agenda. The whole agenda is actually mapped out, and all the speakers and topics for each weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. And so it's all day long too, each day. It's really amazing. And so last year it was like 3 weeks. I think it was like 3 weeks long, and it was during every weekday and weekend day. And then so this year, it's just on the weekends when people are really having that time available, and you can really dive in and spend time. The other thing that's really cool about the Great Grow Along is that not only can you watch it when it happens live, these are recorded. And then the interviews afterwards, or it's going to be before these, I can't remember now this year, before each presentation, after each presentation, they're all recorded, and then it's made available up until like a month later or so. So even if you miss it on that weekend, you can watch it afterwards and get all caught up and still hear those speakers. Maybe you have some of your favorite garden personalities there too. So it'll be fun.
Can we maybe go full screen?
Sure.
Yeah, so we highly recommend. Again, it's free. So, I mean, if you want to just... Actually, speaking of that, we might not be going live for most of the rest of March.
Yes.
We're going to be tentative on the next few lives. Now, for sure, on March 31st, which is actually Easter, I think. So that's a Sunday. That won't affect us. But the other Saturdays, we might be helping with... we're presenting at the Great Grow Along this year. We're going to do a little segment on native bulbs.
On the 31st.
On the 31st.
Yes.
And then we're helping host on some other days. And we haven't got our full schedule yet. So
depending on what that schedule is, we might not be live next weekend. But we'll keep you posted.
We will. I know. Yeah. So just, I guess, watch our posts and, our post area where we put when we can share that on there if we're going to be live or not.
Yeah. But check it out. There's probably something for everybody there.
I know. There's a lot of great speakers and a lot of good sessions. They've organized it into like different weekends based on kind of what your interests are. So if you head over to greatgrowalong.com, which is in the chat here, the link, you can just check it out and see if it's anything you're interested in.
Yeah, totally. And I think they're going to have giveaways this year. They usually do have giveaways.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't heard much about that
so
yet.
So check the agenda out, see what else is going on there. We'll double check that and see if there's going to be actual giveaways there. Every year so far, they've had giveaways.
I don't know if they.
So that's really cool.
Okay, well, but other than that, you guys, we hope that we've built some excitement for you with seed sowing, or at least just we're so glad you were here to hang out with us and just participate in the chat and just talk about gardening.
Yeah, thanks for being here and listening to us talk about all these different seed treatments and hacks. That was fun. I really enjoyed that.
I know. So, and we have a lot more fun stuff to come. But again, we might not be live the next couple weeks, but we'll keep you posted. But until then, you guys just get out and have fun in your gardens, or if you're gardening inside right now.
Because of the weather.
Because of the weather. We hope you have a great weekend ahead. Just whatever you're going to do for gardening. Yep.
Have fun. And we'll see you later.
Yeah, you guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys, for being here.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.